How many people have heard of the rule of 72? So the rule of 72 is very handy when you are trying to work on exponential growth. Okay, and the rule of 72 says something basically like this. So I'll just say something. If something grows at X% per time period, then it will double after 72 divided by X. So let's look at an example. And this works for X kind of between around 2 to 30. All right, and it's not exact, it's an approximation. So let's just look at a simple example. You invest $10,000 at 8% interest per year. How many years till it doubles? 9 years. 72 divided by 8 equals 9. If we get a little less interest, like 6%, then all of a sudden, we're going to be 72 divided by 6 equals 12 years. And if we, well, heaven forbid we put it into, let's say, a savings account right now, but let's say we get 3% somewhere, right? Then all of a sudden, this is 24 years. Huge difference that the interest rate makes in terms of this doubling. This doubling can be used for lots of different things, and also helps ingrain in you, I think, how this exponential growth can work. Let's use this example. So I have used something like this at Google interviews. So we'll start it simple, and then we will actually add the rule of 72. So let's say you have $1, and it doubles every year. So this is one of these wonderful savings accounts that gives you 100% interest per year. How many years until you're as rich as, I'm going to say, Bill Gates, okay? Because I don't know how much Elon Musk has. So how long until you're as rich as Bill Gates? Does anyone have a ballpark order of magnitude number? 10, 30, 100, 1,000? How many vote for 10? By the way, how much money do you have after 10 years? You have 1024. Right, after 10 years, you have 2 to the 10th. And that's approximately 10 cubed, right, 1,000. Save $1,000. After 20 years, how much do you have? Yeah, you have $1 million, right? Because 2 to the 20th is approximately 10 cubed squared, which equals 1k squared, which equals $1 million. After 30 years, you have approximately $1 billion, right? 2 to the 30th is about $1 billion. How much does Bill Gates have? I don't know, let's say 100 billion, you know, billion here, a billion there. Pretty soon you're talking about real money. So if you wanted to get more than him, you need to go up to, how many more doublings do you need? You need more like 2 to the 30, what would it be, 7th, which would be equal to 128 billion. So 37 years. Now this assumes Bill Gates stuffs his money under a mattress. Okay, but nonetheless, let's say you can get up to 128 billion. Now let's just use the rule of 72 in here. Let's say you don't double every year, because that doesn't seem realistic, right? Let's say instead you have an interest rate of 12%. How many years will it take you now? How many years will it take to double your money at 12% a year? 6 years. So how long will it take to get to $1,000? How many doublings you need? You need 10 doublings. So it'll be 60 years to get to 1K, right? Another 60 years to get to $1 million. Another 60 years to get to $1 billion. And then we did another 7 times 6 years to get to 128 billion. All right? Which in some ways seems like a lot, right? 222 years from now, it's a long way from now. Although, who knows life expectancies? Maybe some of you may be alive at that time. But what it also shows is 12% exponential growth really does still lead to pretty good returns. But also that if you can get 100% per year, it's a lot better than 12% per year. How many of you have heard of Warren Buffett? 1, 2 yeses, 3 yeses, so some yeses. All right. So back, let's see, a few years after I had graduated from college, I read a story about Warren Buffett and his company, Berkshire Hathaway. And I read this amazing story where they'd gone from something like $50 a share, these are approximate numbers, in 1969, 1968, let's say 1968, to, when I was reading this, $5,000 a share in 1988. So this was the most expensive stock on the stock exchange at $5,000 a share because it never got split. And I looked at that and I thought, wow, that is amazing, right? That's 100 times as much in 20 years. So first question, this is a Rule of 72 application. What was the compound growth rate for this? 100 times in 20 years. 100 times is how many doublings? That's between 64, so it's 64 would be, how many doublings? That would be 6 doublings. So 2 to the 6th is 64, and 2 to the 7th is 128. So it's, let's say, 6.5 doublings around in 20 years. So how long for each doubling? 20 divided by 6.5. So that's right around 3. So it doubled on average every 3 years. So that means that it was a 24% average annual growth rate on this. And so I read this story and I thought, wow, that's really cool. I wish I had either had the money or known how to invest in that. I missed out on that. And then in 1994, I somehow looked again or read some article, and Berkshire Hathaway was now selling for $18,000. And I thought to myself, so this did between tripling and quadrupling in 6 years. Okay, so let's just call it 3 times. Well, 3 times is kind of hard because it's not a power of 2. Let's say 4 times in 6 years. So that means, again, 24% to get to here. And then I thought to myself, well, it's a shame I missed out on that. That would have been a good thing to have invested in. But then I had a second thought. I thought, maybe it's not over. And so I went ahead and spent much of the money that was in my IRA and bought a share of Berkshire Hathaway stock. And lo and behold, now in 2021, right, 27 years later, I still hold that share. And it's now worth, what is it, around $380,000? Still never split, still the most expensive stock on the stock exchange. So it's gone up by a factor of, so 20 would be 36, about 21 times in 27 years. So 21 is sort of between 4 to 5 doublings. Let's say about 4.5. So 4.5 doublings in 27 years is how many years per doubling? That's, I think, right around 6 years per doubling. Nowhere near as good as 3 years per doubling, but still, that's 12% over a course of 27 years. All right. So notice the Rule of 72 allows you to do some of these easy calculations, even if you're stuck on a desert island, right? Some people, by the way, when I would give this question about the doubling in my interviews at Google, some of the candidates would actually go and fill out a log formula and do the logs and then do their estimations based on the logs and so on. To my mind, just remembering some of your powers of 2 is a really, really important in your computer career, really, to know your powers of 2. How much is 2 to the 30th? How much is 2 to the 20th? Some special ones like 2 to the 32, right, which is 4 gig, and so on.